All right, the former Senate leader, Senator Ndume, has called on the president to withdraw the ambassadorial list. Well, of course, you recall that this ambassadorial list has caused a lot of eyebrows. I mean, it has caused a whole lot of reactions on social media and in the country. Everybody have reacted differently to it. A lot of people are saying that some names that are shortlisted on that list, it's not right. I mean, it does not deserve, to be there. While some other persons too has argued that this list is politically, motivated. That some have also said that the list does not follow the rule of law. Anyway, take a watch at this video and hear what Senator Ndume said here. Categorically point blank to the president. It is well, oh. Watch the video, I'll be right back.
Leader Ali Ndume has urged President Bola Tinubu to withdraw the ambassadorial nomination list currently before the Senate, alleging that its composition violates the federal character principle prescribed by the 1999 Constitution. The Senate had on Thursday received a list of career and non-career ambassadorial nominees additional list from President Tinubu. However, Senator Ndume, who represents Borno South, says in his statement on Saturday that the distribution of nominees was, quote, lopsided and fails to reflect Nigeria's diversity as required under Section 14 of the Constitution. He says, while some states have as many as 3 or 4 nominees, others have none, including Gombe State and the Federal Capital Territory. Now, this comes as the ambassadorial list has continued to generate controversy. The list consists of 34 career ambassadors and high commissioners and 31 non-career ambassadors and high commissioners nominees, bringing the total to 65 nominees. Now, the list, especially that of the non-career nominees, continues to stir intense controversy nationwide, dashing the expectations of many after a 2-year vacuum in Nigeria's foreign missions. Many have expressed disappointment over what they describe as weak, politically motivated choices, lacking the merit and diplomatic experience required for effective global representation of Nigeria. Well, to help us make sense of it all, we have joining us right now in the studio former Commissioner for Information in Adamawa State, Sajo. He'll help us take a critical look at these controversies. Thank you so much, Sajo, for joining us.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
So let's talk about Senator Ali Ndume's, shot at President Tinubu's list. He's saying that, look, it should be stepped aside because the list does not meet the constitutional requirements. Some states have more and some states have none. And he cited Gombe State, and of course there's also FCT that had none. How could this list have come up, including with a dead ambassadorial nominee from Yobe State? How could all of this have happened? Is it that there was no clinical analysis of the list before being sent to the Senate?
I think due diligence, requires that the people that are supporting the president to deliver should be mindful of a lot of due diligence in the manner they do their things. The president can give the order, he can give the instruction, do this, he can clear a list before him. But those that are supposed to do the due diligence to ensure that all the requirements, the criteria are concluded effectively. It's not the president that will do that.
Yeah, but this is the highest level.
There are people who are supposed to do that, and they are failing in their duties. And I think if we would hold the president responsible, we should hold him responsible for allowing people do these kind of things and get away with it. Of course, it's absolutely wrong, to send a list for federal appointments that do not reflect the federal character. But the Constitution only mentions ministerial nominations that should have one in each of the states of the Federation at the minimum. But in the case of other appointments, it's usually mutual forbearance. Politicians are supposed to develop some level of mutual forbearance in the manner they operate the system, to the extent that it becomes institutionalized, that you don't have to remind anybody that there are certain criteria like federal character, like gender, like generational, representation in appointments. By now, the system, after 20-something years of unbroken democracy, the system should have matured enough that there will be checks. Once you're putting forward a bulk appointment or even appointment, some office should be there to look at it within the context of, the federal character, geographical representation, which is key in a federation that wants to promote unity amongst its constituent groups. Then secondly, they should look at it within the context of inclusion. I mean, are the two genders, represented effectively, because we need both our men and women for national development. Then they also look at generational. People are overlooking generational representation. Do we have elderly people? Do we have younger people? So that because the elderly people should begin to now mentor the younger people, so we can have a seamless, transfer of power from the current holders to younger people that are coming behind. And you can't do that unless you mentor. So I think there's an office that should do all of this due diligence that did not do. That's number one. Number two, I think the inclusion of somebody who had passed away is actually an embarrassment on the system, and it's an embarrassment on the president, and that whoever did not look at that thing properly and allowed it go should be called to order, because the president with good intention had ensured that all states were represented. Of course, the exclusion of Gombe and the FCT indigents is also something that somebody should take responsibility for, and that the president, but I believe that the list is not exhaustive, because we have noticed that he first sent 3 names, then sent a set of names, and now he's sending another set. So I'm sure, in due time,
all of this will be resolved.
Some of these things will be resolved, or if not all of it will be resolved. So I believe very sincerely that it's most importantly, I think it's time we had ambassadors, and high commissioners in our embassies to explain to Nigerians. And let me tell you, I have noticed that a lot of people are talking about the quality of the people selected. What do we expect them to go and do? First and foremost, we have, even when you're a career ambassador, there is a career consular officer that you're going to work with. If you're a non-career ambassador, after your initial orientation, which should put you into the rudiments of diplomacy, you still go and work with a career officer of a highest level.
Like a charge d'affaires and all of that.
In some embassies, the consular officers, charge d'affaires officers, are of the rank of ambassadors. So you have people that you will work with that should be able to guide you. What is important is that in the selection, some of the people have been selected based on the fact that they have institutional memories of what the country has gone through for a period of time. And they're going to talk about this country. Anybody without requisite knowledge about this country, anybody who has not had an opportunity to sit on a quantum of information that gives that person a broad perspective of Nigeria, should not be able to go and represent Nigeria outside.
All right. I mean, very interesting submission. Could it have been that the ambassadorial nominee from Yobe State that is said to have died sometime around June, July, could it have been that his nomination was put in place since last year or maybe earlier this year, and when he passed away, the presidency did not have time to recheck and vet this list before, sending it to the National Assembly?
This is not the first time this is happening.
Yeah, especially under the Tinubu administration.
It has happened even before the Tinubu government came. I think, like I said, I insist that there are people who are supposed to do due diligence that have not done.
And who are those people? Could it be the chief of staff or the minister of foreign affairs himself that passes? There are a litany of aides on foreign affairs and all of that.
Officers. I think as a nation, we should pass this level of, perhaps it's an inheritance from our military years of military rule, but I think we should pass this syndrome of somebody being appointed, on radio and television. You should, before the announcement is made, you should be contacted. We were talking about the person has passed SSS screening, he has passed the screening. There are many screenings that we are told that, appointees go through and they pass through those. You mean throughout this period, nobody puts a call to you, nobody comes across to you to say, look, we have decided that there's a nomination here, that it will be announced tomorrow. And are we taking it for granted that people reject? I had cause to reject an appointment in the past. What the hell? You don't just announce me without informing me.
Yeah, I mean, we had that happening under Buhari when Dr. Usman Bugaje.
Exactly.
Then we have Paul Intallion all rejecting their
nomination. So people should be
others.
informed. You have been given you will be announced as, because at that point, all the screening, even if you want to shield the person from doing some cover up of your screening process, which means you don't want the person to hide facts that you want to unearth before you say the person is qualified for the appointment. Even if you do all that, but at the point you are taking the list to the Senate the next day, at least they should put a call to whoever.
Well, strategically and politically, do you think that would serve the interest of the presidency? Because some of these nominees, if the Office of Chief of Staff, for example, puts a call to them, many of them may go to town and start singing even when the presidency has not sent that list. Could it be that it's that fear that's made the presidency to say, look, if we did that a few months ago, we don't need to tell you again before we push this list forward?
Why can't we put it also as the first test of leadership capability? That you'll be given an information, and if that information goes out, then it means you cannot even hold, sensitive information that will come to you by virtue of the position you have been appointed. Look, let's be. You see, institutional build-up in governance, comes after a long process, and that there is an evaluation at every point. We've been told at the beginning of this government something that we all. You remember I was here, we commended the government, that the government is going to institute a monitoring and evaluation mechanism with KPIs, key performance indicators, for people who are given positions of authority. We must revisit that and say, look, before you are given an appointment, there are certain tests you have to pass through. And one of the tests could be that you'll be informed. And if it is heard outside, then that means
you stand a chance of losing the appointment.
Chance of losing the appointment, because we're testing your capacity, to hold on valuable information and wait for the appropriate time, because it's important. Look, when you go out as an ambassador, there are many information that you will get that will be very valuable and that will be in the interest of the country, and that you need to hold it, and some of it requires only the attention of the president of the country, or the attention. So if you cannot hold simple information of someone you're going to be appointed ambassador, and then you go about and start singing, how can you hold?
Very interesting submission you've got here. All right, let's talk about Section 14(3) of the Constitution, which states that the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a way as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity, loyalty, and all of that. And then, of course, a list comes out. And then a state like Gombe is not in it, and FCT is not in it. There's career ambassador, there's non-career ambassador from these places. People ask, where's the due diligence? Because the presidency is the pinnacle of all level of organization, the highest form of organization in a country. So, isn't this a breach of Section 14(3)? Because that's what Senator Ndume is saying, and because of that, the list should be withdrawn. And isn't Ndume overreaching in his call for the...
No, I think my brother, Senator Ndume, is overreaching. What you do is to say, correct this, not withdraw the list. We've been for more than 2 years without ambassadors. We are itching to have ambassadors. All the things that you see, the crisis that we're going through, all the misinformation that is going around in the world about Nigeria today, is because we did not have ambassadors who would be out there to explain to foreign authorities what is happening in our country correctly. So we should be in a hurry to have ambassadors. And like I said, a lot of these people have institutional memories that makes it possible for them to have a correct perspective of Nigeria. If they don't have correct perspective, then there is no position you can give them that will give them a correct perspective of Nigeria. So they know Nigeria in and out. They should be able to represent Nigeria, speak for Nigeria, work for Nigeria, outside Nigeria. So they can do all of that. But again, why will certain states be omitted? I think
why will some have more states than other states also?
Well, that too is an issue. But if you look at it, it's never been balanced, since we started the Fourth Republic. But we needed to have moved towards a balance. And the only way you can achieve certain things is to institutionalize, some of those things. Like I said, even without a constitutional provision, mutual toleration and mutual forbearance requires, these are guardrails of democracy. They require that on our own, we know what is right and we will do what is right. You don't have to be prompted by even constitution or agitations in the street. You need to know that on your own, these are right steps to take, and we take them. And over time, it becomes institutional, and it becomes a means of... But Ndume saying they should withdraw the list, I think it's an overreach. I think what we should do is to call on our president, who listens, actually. We've had experiences severally where the policies are thrown onto the public space, and when people raise objections, the president bends over backward and said, "Look, I have corrected this, or it's been corrected."
This is one list that he really needs to bend over.
So we are hoping characters. We are hoping that the first step is that a nominee from Yobe to replace our late brother should be presented as urgently as possible. Gombe should be remembered, and that somebody must be sent from Gombe immediately, and that we must begin to calibrate.
You didn't talk of the FCT,
calibrate and include the indigenous peoples of the Federal Capital Territory. We should not render them stateless. At present, what we're doing is that when we don't consider the indigenous peoples of the FCT, what we're doing is we're rendering them stateless in determinations of federal character. Because in one breath, you say everybody should be represented. In another breath, you pick people from states and then they're there. They cannot claim any other state. They can only claim the FCT. And if they can only claim the FCT, just like our president did by appointing an FCT indigene as a minister in the federal cabinet, I think we're praying that. And let me tell you, Aduda rose, in the foreign affairs ministry up to the rank of an ambassador, and became and became a permanent secretary. So you can't sit down and tell me that there are no qualified people to be made ambassadors from the FCT. So I think we should address that. So once that is addressed, then we need the posting as soon as possible so that people can begin to engage outside this country, because the image we have there is not a very good one.
Well, all right. I think one of the major problems that we have here is, every sector of our, it has been politicized, and that is just the issue. Because every sector has been politicized, it's become very difficult to vet. Some people they don't do their job anymore. They do it for favor. Some do this for one benefit or the other. They are going to, of course, imagine opposing the president. So this has become a very, very hard task for a whole lot of persons, that has been put in a position to do some certain work. Now, president has made has nominated some persons, and then you have taken them out for vetting. You have taken them out for screening, and then at the end of the day, it comes out that this person's name were removed. This person's name were removed. Do you think that's going to be possible? Now it's now going to be looking as if it's president that selected this person does not know what he's doing. Imagine president who have now selected the INEC chairman as one of the ambassador, and then getting to the screening table and the name was taken off. How do you think that is going to sound? So this is what I was talking about. So a lot of persons are doing high service. People don't do their job, as everywhere has been politicized. Even the Senate House, you see some of them, they just come and say take a bow and go or something like that, because they don't no questioning, no strong screening, no that will determine, except for an opposition. But if not, it's just nobody questions anybody, nobody sanctions nobody. They don't even listen to the masses, even when the masses are crying out that okay, this thing is not going the right way, this thing is going south. So this screening of a thing is very, 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 very important, but not until we come back to the real thing, that why of what we are doing. We can never get it right in this country. So that is where my submissions anyway, that everywhere has been politicized, and because of that, it becomes difficult to oppose the president. It becomes difficult to oppose the list of the president. So definitely they are going to do the due diligence by passing through, but let me tell you, even some of those persons that are not qualified, they are not going to be rejected. I mean, they are not going to be screened out as a result of, except the mandate or the authority is coming from the presidency as well. But if not, it will be very, very difficult, to say that, okay, president has submitted this list and then this person has been screened out. Why? Because they were not qualified. It is a thing of concern that, we need to look into and then take out sentimental, take out eye service and do the job as we ought to do it. And you see, when we get up on our feet to start doing, it's not as if these guys cannot do the job, but when we get up on our feet to start doing this job, I tell you that things will start working, falling in place as it ought to be in this country. So not until the people who are in charge, who has been mandated, who has this authority to do, their work, will stand diligent to start doing what they have to do without fear or favor to anybody, we are not getting it right.